everyone, it's Theresa, and we did it! We completely destroyed my goal that I had for the Crafting Because of the Brave, where we were raising money to donate to Fisher House. We raised over $1,385. $400 of that was one that I had donated. You guys helped me raise over $310 from watching my ads, from doing the super chat, super stickers, all of that, and I cannot say thank you enough. I am blown away about all of your support and all of the love that you've shown me throughout this whole month, and there's still a little bit more. Everything that I'm going to be making off of this video through YouTube through the end of July will get donated to Fisher House as well. And the link for donations is still active. If you feel like you would like to donate, I have it down in the description box for you to check out. But check out all of my highlights from the month. Watch the ads. I know they're annoying, but just watch the ads. And we're going to go ahead and get into it. I'm going to show you each week by week my live and then a couple of the DIYs that I did for you. So I hope you enjoy. And I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful month. And yay, summer has started! Hey everyone, it's Theresa, and tonight is going to be our kickoff of Crafting Because of the Brave. So everyone, this is the Distressed Princess DIY, aka Rhonda.
Hello, and Piper. He's like kind of right in front here.
So, of course, we have Annie from Indie Jones.
Hi.
On my channel for the whole month of May, we are doing Crafting Because of the Brave. And what it basically is I'm going to be donating all of my ad proceeds to Fisher House, which, if you don't know, Fisher House is essentially like a Ronald McDonald House, but for military families. So military people, if they have to have some kind of surgery wherever, and there's a Fisher House there, which there's tons and tons of Fisher Houses all over the country, mostly where, you have military bases or VA centers. So I have a link in my description box. That link brings you over to Fisher House. I have a donation site there if you want to donate. If you don't want to, that's all right too. You can help out by watching my channel all month and watch the ads. That's going to really help.
Why is Fisher House so important to you, Theresa?
So hopefully, and of course, because I don't have any tissues around here, but so Fisher House, I never had a lot of interaction with it. I was in the Army for 11 years, but I was reserve and guard. And if you aren't familiar with that at all, basically it's like the whole 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year kind of thing.
Right.
And the military was always like a family to me. And it's so funny. People will ask a lot of times, they're like, oh, well, what made you join the military? Why did you like it? Why did you stay for so long? And they never expect to hear that answer, that it really was a family. And I'm going to get all emotional already. And so what made me decide to do it for Fisher House was there is a Fisher House in Delaware, where if someone is killed in action overseas, that is where they go. And now I'm getting going. That's where they end up bringing the remains back to, and the family stay at a Fisher House.
Oh.
So as you can, I'm sure, I can't imagine, but it's one of those things where it's just like, to be able to give to an organization that cares that much.
Yeah,
it doesn't take very much for me to get going.
I have also personal, not personal relationship with Fisher House, but because United Way has something called Mission United, Fisher House not only provides direct services, not only for servicemen that have fallen, but for families, students, families, if they're suffering any kind of, issues or whatever, they're there for them. So it's not just when they're sick, they provide so many other services as well. And they also support other organizations that help, veterans find jobs or help them get assistance with mental health or any other issues that they might encounter. Including now with a lot of veterans were left unemployed. And before leaving them homeless, Fisher House, I understand, helped to find them homes or find them temporary housing or even provide funding for them. So, okay, now I'm getting choked up. So stop it.
It's going to be one big therapy session all month long.
I had never heard of Fisher House, so I probably would have went on never knowing anything about it if it weren't for you. So you're doing a great thing.
And whatever proceeds I get from that video, going straight to Fisher House with you.
Oh, thank
Cool.
you.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, why not? That's what it's all about. So
you
why,
tell me how to do that, and I'll set mine up to do the same.
No, all you have to do is just see what you make from that video, what your proceeds are, what your revenue is for that video, and then you just donate it.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true. Yes. Okay, count me in. That'll be
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I know.
Maybe let's start a whole movement with all the people that are in the playlist.
I know. Sammy said she's doing the same, which I was like, oh, it's just everyone who keeps telling me they're going to do that. I'm like, I'm just blown away,
Well, if we can't love our veterans, then what are we? Don't call yourself an American if you can't support your veterans.
We're going to be doing a collaboration between myself, the Distressed Princess, and Indie Annie Jones, and I kind of just tacked myself onto their collab. We have one of the arch window things from Dollar Tree. I just went ahead and took off that little plaque part in the front, and we're going to disassemble it. I don't know if you knew this, but they come apart. I found that out when I was watching Sammy from Unicorn Dust Designs, and I was like, what? They come apart? And she was like, oh yeah, this way you can use it, the backside if you don't need the backside for your project. I was like, well, that's awesome. I'm going to use the backside for the back, but that's okay. First thing I'm going to do is just kind of give it a quick little distressing, a little detail to it. I want to show off some of that wood grain, that faux wood grain in the frame. We're just using Waverly chalk paint in mineral, and I'm just going to go through it pretty quick here. Not too much terrible detail. And what's nice, since it's so plasticky, is if you put a little too much on it, you can just rub it away. It works out really nicely. Once we're done with that, we're going to take this lace, and I used it in, I think, almost every project. I am just going to hot glue. It's almost got a little bit of like a thicker part at the top, and I'm by no means a lace aficionado, so they may have specific names for different parts of this. And if they do, I'm sorry, I don't know them. So I'm just going to hot glue the top part of it first. And what we'll be doing is keeping this all as like one panel on the bottom, and I'll show you how we're going to go about the rest of it. I'll trim off the side because this is obviously going to end up with the backing back on it, like I mentioned. And now what we'll do is we are just going to glue down the bottom part. And I use my lovely little spatula, and here it is. It's finished, the bottom. I'll glue down the sides a little bit just to kind of keep it taut as much as you can. And now we're going to do just the little middle-ish part. And for this one, I'm going to start at the bottom and then work my way up. Except I'm going to do each one of these individual cutouts separately, like I'm going to do one at a time. It didn't work right, like, you know what I mean? It wasn't going to work out trying to do like a whole row of them. Once those ones are done, we are going to do a whole panel on the top. It's just the way it kind of worked out with the lace that I had, and to do this, I'm going to start in the middle just to make sure I don't end up with tons on one side or not the other, and I imagine you know what I'm talking about by that, but so I'm going to do the bottoms of each little opening first, and then I'm going to work my way over. I don't know if this was the easiest way to do it, but it seemed to me like it was going to be the easiest, so it's just how I went. When you're doing this, try your best not to have a lot of like overpour of hot glue. I had a couple spots on it that definitely poured a little over. You can't see it too much because of the coloration of, the hot glue compared to the whitish color of the, of the actual little frame part. I'm going to call it that, at least, the little frame part. Then we're going to trim around, of course, because obviously you don't need that much and you're not going to see it anyways. So we are done with that part, and see, I had a couple little spots of glue that I wasn't liking the way it looked, so I just added a little more glue and then added a couple little pearl beads. They're actually off of like a string that I used through a couple of different projects today, and I wanted to kind of tie a couple of the pieces in together. Now that same lace, I think for the whole project, I had like half a yard of lace. It's not even like I had that much. I have one of these little keys. I got it, I think, from Joann's. It's like one of those Tim Horton. I could be saying that wrong. I think it's Tim Horton though. And I just tie the lace on there, and then I'm going to take one of my pieces from Totally Dazzled that is, we're going to be doing a giveaway for, so stay tuned on that part. But I'm just going to glue that onto the lace, and then we're going to glue the key and the little dazzled brooch on the front as well. And I thought it was looking a little plain and needed a little more, so I added another key. Just, a nice big glob of glue. I'll kind of just, fashion it as I think works best. And here it is, all finished. Our next DIY is going to be this little camera. It's from Dollar Tree, and we're just going to do 2 pretty thick coats of the Waverly chalk paint in plaster, and now I'm going over it, giving it a pretty heavy distressing with the Waverly chalk paint in mineral. These are kind of the colors that we're going with today. And once we are finished with that, I was like, I want to give it a little bit more distressing. And so I do go in with my little finger sander. The thing makes a little bit of a mess, but it's all right. It's one of those things. You tend to make a mess when you craft. And if you don't, please share your secret with me. How do you keep yourself from making such a mess? That little guy there is from Target. I'll link it below just in case you're interested in it. That's the least expensive place I was able to find it. And I did go back and add a little bit more of that chalk paint. Now we're going to go in with some Mod Podge. Now I had tons of like these little strips of that lace left over, and I was really close to throwing it away. But I decided I needed to do something with it. So I'm just going to be kind of Mod Podging a bunch of different strips to this camera. Now on this project, I was definitely inspired by a person on Instagram that I'd seen do different things, very shabby chic. And the name on the page, I believe, is Creative Designs by T. I will link it for you below though, that way you can go check it out. She has an Etsy shop, she has a Facebook, Instagram. I'll link it for you below so you can check her out. She does a lot of things with like scraps of more like paper, so it wasn't like an exact, copy of what she was making, but I'd seen her do something with a camera and I was like, oh, I have that camera and I love that. So I wanted to do something kind of in the same realm. Now on these strips of fabric, what you're going to do I decided I didn't want to stop them right where where the camera ends. So I did end up like wrapping them around. And I found that the easiest way to Mod Podge lace, and maybe you already knew this, was to put the Mod Podge down first and then lay down the lace and then kind of pat it. First time around, I tried, like, well, let me just put the lace down and then I'll put Mod Podge on top of it. And that didn't really work out. So this was through the process of elimination. I found that this was the easiest way for me to do it. I did forget to mention that very first project you saw, I was definitely inspired by my good friend Liz, the official craft art, who I will link below as well. So now that we're done with all the Mod Podging, I'm going to go in. This is with some of that same mineral chalk paint, and I did like a quick little layer of it, and I wasn't really happy with how it was showing up, so I went in with the old faithful Folk Art Antique Wax, and it gave me exactly what I was looking for on the lace. I wanted it to give it a much like dirty and very antique look to it, which makes sense considering it's called antique wax. Now it comes in like this little circle you're supposed to use for like a picture, but I covered that same plaster chalk paint, and then the same thing with the grayish tone mineral chalk paint. And now instead of Mod Podging these little strips, I'm just going to hot glue them down because something's going to go on top of it. Can you guess what it is? It's going to be another one of those brooches from Totally Dazzled. So you'll see that in just a minute though. But you'll definitely, like I said, you're going to want to just kind of work with it, find things that work for you. I think I used like the entire little strips of that lace that I had. I don't think I ended up throwing away almost any of it. And then the same thing here, we're going in with some of the antique wax just to give it a little something, to make it show up a little bit more. You can see the lace detail a little bit more. And now we're using, like I said, one of the brooches from Totally Dazzled. I am an affiliate of theirs, so I will also link their site below for you. I'll link to these little brooch sets and everything, and that way if you want, you can go take a look at them. And now the little, piece of metal on the back, I figured it wasn't going to do much for me, so I snipped it off, and now I just put like a little small piece of a skewer, add a good amount of hot glue, and we're gonna just push it down. And I thought I was done here, and then I decided, you know what, it needed something else. So we're just gonna take some of those same little beads, like the little pearl beads that I was trimming up and put little like one piece at a time on the first project. I have them in like the strands, and I'm kind of trying to make it look more like they're just slung over this. So, I wanted to glue it down because I didn't want it moving around all over the place, but at the same time, I kind of wanted to look very, like, haphazardly placed. Excuse me. I don't know. You'll have to let me know if you liked the look of it without them or if you like it better with them. I left them on there. I definitely liked it better with the beads. So I'm going to show you just a couple pieces that I'm putting on there, and it's really all just about preference, and if you're going to do something similar, I would highly recommend using a smaller glue gun. This was like the last thing I did, so my glue gun that is, doesn't have a wire, that's, just one that holds a charge for a little while, it had lost its charge. So I had to go to the bigger glue gun that I don't use as often, unless I need to like put down some serious hot glue. So I would recommend using a smaller one. But I'll have the small one linked for you below too, if you're interested in that. Amazon link, of course. Now that I've put all those beads on, here it is, all finished. I love it. I'm in love with it. Hey everyone, it's Theresa, and tonight is another fun night. We're doing our Crafting Because of the Brave. And tonight I have Jamie from What's Jamie Making, and apparently husband from What's Jamie Making. So I have to know, have you guys ever shared his actual name? Because I couldn't find it anywhere that had said it.
I know on YouTube I'll comment like on other people's videos and our videos from my personal account, but I don't think we've ever said it. My name is Jeff, by the way.
Oh, okay.
One of the few times we'll ever say it.
Real name.
Well, but that's why we call him the husband, because there's a billion Jeffs in the world, and this is the husband. Capital T, capital H.
It's stuck from years and years ago.
And tonight I have my two lovely friends, they're on the side, that are from the channel What's Jamie Making. Their channel is going to be linked for you in the description box, so please go check it out. One thing coming up this week is the challenge that I'm going to be participating in, and I'd like you guys to talk a little bit about it because it's your challenge.
So pre-COVID, we used to do a bunch of in-person fundraisers, workshops to raise money for Girl Scouts or the local fire department. Basically anybody that needed to raise some funds, we would have an in-person crafting time, basically, that the registration fee went to them. Well,
that kind of got cut short because we couldn't get together anymore, so we were trying to brainstorm and come up with an idea of how we could kind of do stuff with people and still have the benefit for charity, or somehow make it work together like the fundraisers that we used to do. It's kind of where the Crafty Challenge idea came from.
And then we realized we had a lot of really talented, really fun YouTube friends. So why not put it there? So Friday at Friday at 2 Eastern, there will be a playlist going up, and all of our viewers can come and watch the whole playlist. But there's a fun little twist at the end. Once you've watched everybody's video, there's going to be a Google form that you can go and vote for your favorite, and the person with the most votes, their specific charity is going to get a $50 donation. So there is lots of opportunity to raise more money for Fisher House just this week.
So the Google Doc,
vote for me.
Yeah. The Google Doc will have pictures of everybody's project, so you can see everybody's project on there. Go through and vote for whichever one you like the best. Teresa's. And then,
Well, we're all here for. I mean, really.
absolutely.
Sorry, there's a child is making random noises at the door. Guys, go watch a show. No.
I got turned off.
Okay.
And I
Watch something on the TV in here then. Watch something out in there on the TV in the living room. Sorry.
No worries.
Usually my husband is here to corral them, but he's on travel he had to leave to go on travel for work today. So they're, free for all.
And as soon as you press the live button, it just goes crazy.
Oh, that's how it always was. I could hear them. I mean, like I have like a 2,300 square foot house, and I'm all on one side, and where they were is all on the other side, and I could hear them from here. So I was like, well, this is going to grow really well.
Yeah, don't worry. Even the dogs do it.
Okay, can you shut my door for me, please? I'm on the thing. I'm on the live. Shut the door. Okay, watch your show with brother. Yep, the whole thing. Don't worry about that. Just shut the door. Giving a 5-year-old instructions. The whole thing? Yes, shut the whole thing.
All the way shut it? Oh.
Yes. Thank you. Okay. I'll get you some of that in a little while. No, you can't. It's full. Sorry. I'll get it. No, you can't. It's a full milk.
Yeah.
From the refrigerator.
I played that little reel right in my head. I'm like, I know exactly how this is gonna go. Yeah.
She weighs all of like 30 pounds. She's not picking up a gallon of milk out of the refrigerator.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. So we were saying, I'm so sorry. Okay, I'll come back. I'll be out there in just a few minutes. Okay.
One more.
Just a few minutes.
1 minute.
Okay. 1 minute. Go in the other room and count for me.
Okay, I did count one.
Okay, I'll be there in just a minute. All right.
Just 1 minute.
Here.
Just one.
Mom wanted easier.
I'll be out there in just a few minutes. Okay.
Mom, your bum is one.
Okay. Thank you. Goodbye.
Wait.
Bye.
Wait, I need nothing.
No, not wait.
I did one more. Okay, one more second.
One more question.
What are you doing up there?
Because I'm talking to the people online.
I see.
No, you can't see.
Why?
Because you don't get on film. Okay, I'll be there in just a few minutes. We're almost done, I promise. Almost. Okay. Everybody, do not forget to go and watch the
Charity craft challenge.
Charity crafting. Thank you. I'm like, I can't get it. I have to write that down when I'm recording.
It's just because I've typed it so many times it gets stuck.
Right. So that's coming up Friday. Okay, I know I'm hurrying. That's coming up at 2:00 Eastern time, and I'm talking as fast as I can. Stop interrupting me.
I'm gonna open the door.
Okay. So I hope you guys had fun listening to all of this, and we'll catch you guys next time. So I am going to make my own wood round. I am starting off with a bunch of those larger paint stir sticks. I want to say you get 3 of them for $1, maybe just a little over $1. I will list them for you below in the description box. I get mine from Lowe's. And I'm just going to put a generous amount of Gorilla Glue, or any kind of wood glue you have will work too. And we are going to glue them basically all together. Now try your best to get them really nicely put together. Use do this on like a flat surface so that you are going to have a good place to put them together. The flat surface is what we're really going for. If it's not completely perfect, as far as the straight togetherness is not a big deal because we're going to cut it. But again, we're just going to do that all the way across, and the total width of it is going to end up to be at most 16 inches if I remember right. And I'm going to do that with all of these stir sticks, and I can't remember off the top of my head how many I did, but here they all are. Tip is to put down a piece of wax paper underneath. That will make your life a whole lot easier. And then this is the side with the ruler part, and what I'm doing is I'm just taking some wood glue and I'm kind of filling in the cracks a little bit. That way you can, get a little bit better of a secure hold, you know what I mean? And I did do hot glue on this side as well to do that same, a little bit better hold. So I cut it out a circle with my scroll saw, and I just kind of like took a pizza pan and drew a circle around, so nothing too complicated. And now we're going to take this wood tint from Folk Art, which is a plaid product, and we're going to just paint that all on. And you'll see here I've kind of started it and then just showing you kind of finishing it off. It's really easy to use this particular product. It is very watery. It's water-based. It's very liquidy, and so what I do is I'll just paint it on and wipe it off pretty quick because I didn't want a real dark tone to it. You know what I mean? And next we're going to use another plaid product. This one is the plaster colored chalk paint from Waverly. You can get this one at Walmart. And I'm really focusing in on the lines where you can definitely get a lot of that glue-like look. You can see it essentially is what I'm saying. And if you do a quick sanding before you stained it, you probably would be able to avoid that. Or if you buy your own wood round, you wouldn't see it because it wouldn't be there. So I wanted to do it, like a pretty, reasonable price for, the wood rounds because they get pretty pricey. And now I'm just going to go through and do just a quick sanding. I kind of wish I hadn't done this, to be honest. So if I were you, I would skip this because it really just basically, instead of just fading the white, it really just makes it to where you can see the glue. So avoid this. And see now, like I said, you can see the glue, so I'm going back in again with that same Waverly chalk paint and plaster just to kind of hide all of those little spots that you can now see where the glue was. Because, it's naturally going to seep through some just because they weren't locked in there. And now we're going over it with another wood tint. This one is in the color gray, and I'm just kind of using it to fade that, white or almost white paint. I didn't want to completely eliminate, the wood grain. I cannot talk today. I didn't want to eliminate the wood grain, so that's why I was like, well, I don't want to paint it completely, you still want to see the wood grain part. It is wood. And this is going to, like I said, it really tones it down. And then I was like, well, gee, now I need to amp up a little bit more of the walnut color that was on the first place. I don't remember if I told you that. That original wood tint is in the color walnut. And now we're done. And now we're just going to give it a nice coating front and back with that sealer. And I'm just showing you, I have a 1 1/4 inch PVC pipe cut down. I'll leave the measurement down for you below. And I'm going to use one of those flanges, and I'm going to use one of these lovely little tin buckets from Hobby Lobby. I'm going to just do a pretty good coat of hot glue around the inside rim because I don't want it to leak. And we are going to glue down that metal flange. I'll link it for you below in case you're curious. I got that from Lowe's. So if you want to get one similar, or if you want to get the same one, it'll be linked for you. And we did just a combination of some Gorilla Glue, which is actually kind of like E6000, and hot glue. And now we're going back to our wood round. And we're just going to kind of find like the basic middle point so I know where to put those little handles. We're just going to use some nautical rope, and I've already kind of cut it out just based on the glass size. If you remember from the thumbnail, this is going to be a little spot to hold some wine glasses. Now, mind you, my wine glasses are plastic because I like to use those for, outside and things like that. Nobody wants to drop a glass and break it. I just kind of found the center point by taking a ruler and just kind of doing a cross section kind of thing. And we're going to do pretty much the same method of gluing down this metal flange with, our permanent hold glue and our hot glue. And once we do that, I've used, like I said, I've kind of already found the middle point, and we're just going to get that kind of more or less eyeballed in the middle with the aid of our, middle point finder, technical term there. And next I am going to hide my jagged cutting skills. So I did do this on my scroll saw. It was harder than I expected it to be, even though I had, something I had already drawn a circle on the wood to give me a guide. it still was kind of jagged, so this is going to help hide it. So like I said, it's kind of one of those things. If you're really skilled at it and you do a really good job of cutting it, you could probably skip this, especially if you don't like it. So I liked the idea of kind of adding just a little bit more of a touch to it. So I just hot glued it all the way around. This first piece of the rope is up on the top part, and then we'll just glue down, that little edge. There's a little seam, but it's not overwhelmingly noticeable, so I'm not too concerned about it. And then I decided I wanted to do another layer of it, and this one is more on the side of it. So that's really going to kind of camouflage that slightly wonky circle that I have going on. And I found the easiest way to do it is with it facing upward. The first, go around of the first like little area of gluing, I did it upside down and it didn't work as well. So there's another little tip for you. Once that is done, I've got that piece of PVC pipe that I spray painted. I will leave the color down for you below, and we're just going to tighten our flange, and I'll do the same in the bucket to give it a nice secure hold, which is nice because you can still detach it and repaint it if you need to. And here it is, all finished up. I have to say, I absolutely love this. I'd seen it from Kirkland's and it was like $400, and I was like, oh no thank you, I can make that. Hey everyone, it's Theresa, and today I've got my very, very good friend Sammy from Unicorn Dust Designs. And this is week 3 of our Crafting Because of the Brave. So Sammy, tell us about your channels and all of your crazy endeavors that you have going on right now.
I feel so awkward. Put me on the spot. No, you guys know I don't mind talking. And I can't see the chat room, just so you guys know, because I'm on my phone, so I can't see what's going on if you're saying hi or not. So just putting it out there. So you guys, I am from Unicorn Dust Designs. That's where a majority of the people know me for my DIYs and wood signs, which I love doing. And then now I have 2 other channels because I'm crazy and I just want to add more to my plate, all the time. So I have Shop with Sammy, where I take you guys to the stores with me, show you what's new, what's on sale. I do hauls, and then I have Crafting a Healthy Life, which is our vlog channel, and that is a channel where you get to know me and my family, my home decor, like the changes that we, are doing with our home. So it's definitely a show. I got a little bit of everything. So I'm here for you.
Sammy is co-hosting a challenge with me on Tuesday. I don't know if Sammy wants to give a little teaser on some of the projects she did, or...
Well, I'm up in my room, so I can't.
Well, you don't need to show us. Just give us a quick little blurb about it. Like if you have any fun projects that were your favorite.
Out there that this is probably my only red, white, and blue decor video I'll be doing. So I decided to go in big and do 8 DIYs for you guys. I was feeling it. I was feeling the patriotic. If you guys haven't seen my house, I got a humongous red wall, so I figured we might as well decorate it. So you guys will also get one of my wood rounds. I'm doing a wood round on Tuesday as well. And tons of other super simple, easy, patriotic DIYs that you can do as a beginner or intermediate. And they are going to be so much fun, especially the wood round. It's gorgeous.
So we're going to start off with one of these God Bless America signs from the Dollar Tree and this little wood palette hanging thing. I think I got this from either Hobby Lobby or Michael's. Got it a while ago, had it stained, didn't like it. But I did go ahead and stain. I sanded it down pretty well, as best I could. At least that stain is in there. And I went ahead and did the walnut wood tint from Folk Art all around the edges, as well as the little slats in between the wood. I will take my Mod Podge and I'm going to kind of position this picture. I didn't measure anything out. I just kind of went with it, And once we're done with that, I am going to take a brand new sharp craft knife and kind of just trace down the side where, the picture's ending, if that makes sense. I think you know what I mean. And then I'll basically do that all the way down. That's how I figured it would be easiest to cut. So I did that all the way down, as you see here, Mod Podged each section separately. And now I'm taking that same wood tint and I am distressing the picture. I kind of wanted it to blend in a little bit more with the wood. I mean, once you get to the end of it, you'll see that I'm not going to make it to where you can really see the, the sides of the picture, but I really wanted it just to blend in to make it look a lot more like it's all one piece. Not that I glued a picture from Dollar Tree onto the wood part. Which obviously I did, but you know what I mean. I want it to look more cohesive, whatnot, that kind of thing. And once I am done, eventually, so basically all I'm doing is I'm getting like it's a little fluffier of a paintbrush, just brushing it on, wiping it off, because this is a very, very liquidy substance. So you don't want to leave it sit too much because it will pool. It will, it'll look like you spilled liquid wood tint on it. And now I'm going to take the Waverly chalk paint in plaster and I'm going to give it a little bit of like a faded effect. So I'm just going to brush it on a little bit, wipe it off with my finger. That just seemed like the easiest, quickest way to do it. You're not really even brushing very much of the paint on. This is almost a dry brush. It might have a little bit more, and then if you get bigger globs, if you act fast, you can wipe it away. But I really wanted it to look very old, very, maybe vintage in a sense, like a little bit of a vintagey look to it maybe. And just to give it, like I said, I wanted it to be a little more faded. So I figured the white, doing that white paint over it was a good way to do that. I've really been liking this, I'll call it a technique. We'll call it a technique today. I've really been liking this technique lately. So if you've been watching some of my videos recently, you've probably seen me do it. I'm going to take this, it's almost like a denim blue, and the stars ribbon. I just hot glue a little edge of it first, and then I'll just pat it across the top just to give this a little bit more detail. You could definitely leave it alone, but I really wanted to hide where the paper was ending. And then I'm going to do it on each side as well. I'll glue down a section, and then I see it here. I was like, I'll get my trusty little, flame on there just to burn off any little edges, because it does fray a little bit, but if you burn it a little and not set the whole thing on fire, you'll be good. And now we're gonna watch me struggle with trying to make a bow. I was thinking about doing a regular bow, and then I asked a few friends and they're like, oh, do a sloppy bow? What are they called? I don't know why I can't think of what it is. Messy bow. Messy sounds much nicer than sloppy. So I'm just using that same bluish ribbon with the stars and a couple strips of burlap ribbon, and I'm just kind of haphazardly placing it. I've never really made one up until this point. I don't think I've ever made one before. But I put down my twine first, and I'm doing it upside down so that I can tie off like in the center, make my little messy bow. It's kind of cute. I'm okay with it. I had to marinate on it at first, to be honest. I was like, well, let me just put it here until I know for sure I want it. And then I did end up gluing that just right here on the top of my sign, which you'll see right here. It's all finished. So cute. I love it. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed that first DIY. It is definitely my favorite. It was really hard to pick. You're going to see the rest of them here just in a minute, but I just want to remind you that this is part of a playlist that I'm posting along with Sammy from Unicorn Dust Designs. I'll have Sammy's channel linked for you as well as the playlist. Definitely go check them out. There's going to be some amazing videos, amazing DIYs for you to check out. And I cannot believe it. I'm completely floored by all of the love and support that I've gotten from so many of my friends here on YouTube. Sammy has been absolutely amazing. She, along with so many others, are going to be donating their proceeds from their videos to Fisher House. And like I said, I've said it on several videos before this month, that everything I've got coming from Google AdSense, meaning like the ads you keep seeing on our videos, everything I make for the whole month is getting donated to Fisher House. And it's just a really, really amazing charity. And I've had so many people leaving like all their stories and all of their, times that they've interacted with people from Fisher House on my community tab, or, on my comments on my video. Go check them out if you want to see some amazing stories. And like I said, I can't believe how much everyone has just been, showing so much love and support. And I'm going to start crying if I don't stop right now. So we're going to go ahead and get it back into the DIYs. Give me just a few minutes. We'll be back and I'll tell you about the giveaway. So we're going to take one of these little signs. I got it from Target right around Christmas. Well, actually right after Christmas, so I got a decent deal on it. I went ahead and just covered the whole thing with the Waverly chalk painted in plaster. I was debating on keeping the red, the red trim around it, and then I started trying to tape it off, and I was like, nope, not a fan. This is too much work. So I just painted the whole thing. And then I did those little dots, lines, whatever you would call that, with the Waverly chalk paint and truffle, and now I'm taking the folk art antique wax. That was a lot to say. And I'm just going to give it a pretty thorough coat on it, and I'm really just trying to get like a wood look. It doesn't need to be perfect because I am going to come back and, add some more of the plaster paint on top of it to give it, like a distressed painted look. You know what I mean? So once I'm done with that, what I noticed, I started trying to dry it with my heat gun, and because it's the wax, it pools. So then I was like, oh, well, I'm going to give it, a little distressing or a little bit more of a touch with my brush, and that kind of pulls away some of that wax. So it's kind of cool. So little tip for you. Like I said, I'll take that plaster colored paint and I'm just going to brush it over a little bit heavier than like a dry brush, just to give it kind of that same look we're going for on all of my projects today, are that rustic, very more, like a lot more weathered look. It's kind of my vibe lately. That's been what I've been really enjoying. So that is what I'm doing. Once we're done with that, here we go. I'm going to go back with that antique wax, and I am just going to kind of play with it in the middle, just putting a little bit of it down, probably a little bit too much, but that's all right. I'll take some of that white, some of the plaster paint, and go over it a little bit on the spots that were too heavy. So there's a tip for you too. If you ever go too crazy, just go with your original color just to dull it down a little. I didn't want it to be, obnoxious. It's okay, because we are going to put some stuff on top of this, because we're not done yet. And we are just going to break out some of these window clings. Here we go. From the Dollar Tree. They're super cute. I picked up, I think, like 2 each of these because I liked them, and you know how that goes. We're just going to Mod Podge those down, and it curls up a lot, so just be careful when you're trying to do it. I'm just going to put down some Mod Podge. It's easier if you Mod Podge on top of the little cling part first, and then add a little bit to the tray or whatever you're Mod Podging it onto. And then I'm going to use my handy dandy little tool that I got from Plaid. They were so sweet to send some stuff for me. I love it. It's nice. It's nice when companies like, oh, you want to promote our stuff? Here's some stuff for free, And then I'm going to go in with a couple of the stars from, I think, the same set, just to give it a little bit more of a touch of, of something, because we can't just stop there. That's pretty much, we can always say that. We can't just stop there. And there they all are. That's kind of what I added. I didn't want it to be equal on both sides, just so it was a little bit more interesting to look at, I guess. I don't really know. I'll add just a little bit of Mod Podge on top just to try to keep it, from coming up, because obviously they're window clings and that's not a window. And I'm going to take these beads that I have from Beebeecraft. They're gigantic. I didn't realize they were so big when I had picked them out, but they're big, but it's all right. And I'm going to put them on a wooden dowel and just brush on that antique wax. And then we will just take off the hardware off of the back of our little frame. And just so you know, if you go over and check out Beebeecrafts, their stuff is actually really nicely priced. So go check them out. I'll leave the link for you below for you to check out their site. The shipping does take a little bit of time, but what is at least nice is the shipping, like the minimum shipping for free shipping is pretty good. It's, I think, like $35 is what you have to spend for free shipping. And they always have a coupon or promotion or something like that. So go check them out. Once I have glued down all of my little feet, I'm going to do the same kind of thing that I did to the top of our tray. If you hadn't figured that out, it's a tray now, not a sign anymore. And I'll just do, a pretty thorough brushing with that plaster paint. and I kept going. And like I said, you could definitely stop there. You could stop at pretty much any point. But I am going to add some faux leather handles on here. I did learn that do not put them upside down because once you flip it around, the leather will be on the wrong side. So don't do that. I already did it once and I took it out because I figured I could just tell you that. So yep, you're just gonna glue down and making it right side up. See, it looks like it's wrong, but we're gonna fix that in just a second. I'm gonna take some thumbtacks from Dollar Tree and I am just going to tack it up, I guess is probably the best way to say that. I'm just gonna put it in there. You just give a good push, both sides, and it's finished. Really cute. I was at a battle of whether I like that one the best. First project, we're going to start with 2 of these little candlestick holder things, pillar candles, and I've got 3 of those cupcake holder trays. I'm not sure exactly what they're supposed to be, other than fabulous. First, I went ahead and just did a full coat of the Waverly chalk paint in plaster on both of the candlesticks and the 3 different trays. My recommendation, I've got lots of them in this video, spray paint those suckers because that was a lot of time to get that those details in the, you know, the like little swoops and loops and whatever you want to call them. Spray paint it. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to glue down my candlestick holder using some Gorilla Glue. This is not like the Gorilla Glue wood glue. This is more similar to E6000. And some hot glue. Second time of a recommendation is to actually stick your 2 candle holders together first. I thought this would be easier putting it on the tray first, so that's a little bit of a difference. I would say if you're going to remake something similar to this project, put the 2 of them together first. That would have been a whole lot easier. So it's all right. We're working with what we've got, you know. And next, I'm going to put together 2 of those trays together. I'm going to basically doing it like this is the bottom. Yes, I had to think about that. This is the bottom of the tray. So I'm doing that with both of them, bottom to bottom, basically. And same kind of deal, same glue, the Gorilla Glue and hot glue. It moves really fast. You know what I mean? Like when you're doing it, it's going to be setting really quickly. So make sure you're moving fast. Now I am going to, and this is part of the thing I would say, like definitely do this first. Sorry, my camera's like all over the place. I knocked it. These are just a couple of jumbo popsicle sticks that I'm cutting to fit around the rim because the rim is not level. You know what I mean? So again, this is definitely something I wish I had done first. So I put down some popsicle sticks and glued on the other part. Sorry, you're going to get a couple of really weird camera angles. And now I'm filling this in because it's definitely got a little bit of like a line. I'm filling this in with some caulking and you see it's kind of like you really got to like go around this tray. Like I said, do this part first. And then I was like, well, it really looks unfinished. So let me put some of these split beads here. I will link them for you below. And I really like the effect it gave, but like I said, I really wish I'd done this first. So I'm going to do the split beads all the way around, and then I painted them in that same paint color, the plaster paint color. And now I'm going to go in with some more of the caulking and fill it in. And using like a dampened Q-tip was a really good way to smooth it out. So it's not perfect, but I still like the overall effect and look of it. And I'll give you a look here. I did distress it as well with some antique wax. Hey everyone, I'm Theresa and this is Jamie from Simple Roots, Simple Living. And we are in our very last live of my crafting because of the break. How are you doing, Jamie? We've been chatting for like the last 20 minutes.
I'm so excited. So excited. And I'm so like over the moon, like proud of everything that you've done. Like it's amazing to see the kindness of people. It's just amazing.
It really, really is. So I want to also let you know some fun things going on this week. It was actually something that Jamie kind of came up with, so I'll let her talk to you guys about it.
Well, I knew that you were doing the huge, amazing collab with Sammy, and I was not able to join in that one. but I still wanted to be part of the month and the giving. And so my instinct was, let's do something with family, because Fisher House is all about family. And the Army is family. You become family with your fellow soldiers and their families and the support and all of that. So the family thing to me just made sense to you. See, don't do that.
I know, I'm trying not to.
But you become a close-knit family as the military, because you need that support when you're deployed, and there's a lot that goes into it. So you have your family, and then you do have a military family as well. And so that just made sense to be the idea for another collab to kind of help you through all of this.
We are doing a hop where you'll, if you're not familiar with it, you hop from channel to channel to channel watching the videos. All of them will be going out at 11 o'clock Eastern time on Tuesday, and it is a total of 10 different DIYers. Some you might be familiar with, some you might not be, so that's great. You get to meet some new friends, and it's all about family DIYs, and it's really open to your interpretation. It could be the word family, it could be something that means family to somebody, it could be pictures, it could be anything. And then in addition to that, coming up on Thursday, I am co-hosting a challenge with Crystal, the Purple Pixie. Her channel name, I believe, is the Purple Pixie. And she does a monthly challenge that is her monthly collab. I love that she calls it that.
I love that too.
And she does a Saving Our Earth. And it was funny, I was showing Jamie one of my projects earlier. It's all trash to treasure, but unfortunately this one still looks like trash. So hopefully it'll find its way to looking a little bit better than trash. But so we're posting that, and we're going to do a giveaway for that too. That'll be a $40 Amazon gift card. So make sure you watch both mine and Crystal's videos so you can learn about that giveaway. It's going to be really fun. So,
but I did want to say that I am going to donate what I make for a month. And I'm glad that you said you left it open till the end of June. So whatever I make in the 30 days from the date of ours, I'm going to donate. Now, I know it's not going to be a huge amount. So whatever that is, I'm going to match it.
That's so amazing.
So that it's something.
We're going to start off with one of these home signs. It did have like this little green reef thing on the O. I went ahead and took that off already. If you can actually pull it right off, because it's like hot glue on metal, and we know how that goes. Don't use your heat gun, because you're going to melt the leaves, because I would never do that, of course, right? I'm just cleaning it off with some rubbing alcohol, and I'm taping down the bottom part. I didn't want to take the letters out, but I wanted it to stay white. So we're going to just do a quick coat. I believe I did 2 coats of paint of that Nantucket blue from Folk Art. And now we're going in with sheepskin from Folk Art. It's very similar to the Waverly chalk paint and plaster. For whatever reason, my plaster one was not nearby, so I just went ahead and went in with this one. Like I said, very similar in color. So we're just going to do a pretty heavy dry brush, if that makes sense. It's not dry, but it's not like fully loaded with paint either. I just wanted to give it a very aged look, because everything we're doing today is very nautical and everything like that. And now we've got our Folk Art antique wax that I'm just going to go over everything that got that brushing of the whitish toned paint, making it look very aged, very weathered. And I'm going to do it to the bottom part as well. So I'll do it to all of the letters, and then also on the bottom. And not that anybody could see it, but on the back side, I did go ahead and paint that Nantucket blue on the back too. I figured just in case you see the back of it, I wanted it to look kind of done. And I'm going to brush over on the bottom portion that was white, and that is just, like I said, it's just giving it some age. I almost wanted the bottom part to look a little bit like wood, like a driftwood that's really weathered. One of my other pieces, I think it's my last one, I really was going for that same weathered driftwood kind of look. Once we are finished with that, I'm going to take this flower from Sola Flowers, and I'm just going to glue it in on the O. I thought about using different things, and I just love these flowers, so I wanted to add just that really pretty touch to it, you know? And I'm going to take off this little jar. I want to say it's supposed to be candles. Yeah, it's for candles. And it had this really cute little anchor on it, and I take off the little ring, I brush over that just to give it, you know, like, again, that weathered, aged, almost rusted look to it. You can definitely layer on a whole lot of stuff to give more of that rusted look if that's the, you know, if that's what you're going for. I just wanted it to kind of match with everything else, so just a little dab of glue, and we're just going to put that right there, and then that project is pretty much done. I just had to maneuver all of my fingerprints. Here it is though, all finished up. I think it's just the cutest little touch to something. Now we are going to take one of these bicycle wheels from Dollar Tree. That home sign before, like I was also from Dollar Tree. But I am going to remove every other spoke. Now, at first I was having a hard time with it, but if you take your pliers and kind of like bend it more than cut it, if that makes sense. Like you're not really cutting the wire part, you're really bending it and breaking it more than anything else. And I'm trying to make this look kind of like a captain's wheel. Is that what it's called? I'm not a Navy person, so I don't really know all the great terms, so I'm sorry if I am not using the right words for things like that, but I'm just going to take this twine and basically cover almost the entire thing. We're going to just, you know, you get it started, cut off as much as you think you need, and just start wrapping it. It's not real technical way of doing it. This is just kind of the way I went with, and I did a lot of spots of glue just to kind of keep it from unraveling. I left a lot of it open because I am going to put some florals on it, and I figured, why waste the twine? Why spend all my time wrapping it up if I'm going to cover it anyways? I've got these really pretty blue roses from Dollar Tree. And then I've also got some of this lamb's ear that's kind of like a frosted lamb's ear that I want to say I got from Joann's probably back, you know, in the winter time. It's just kind of been sitting and hanging out, and I was like, you know, let me just use it here. And now come to think of it, I could even go in with a little bit of like the antique wax and probably dull down some of that, you know, that whitish frosted look and give it kind of like a dirty look. I might do that, come to think of it. See, I continue to get good ideas just by talking through my project. And I just kind of hot glued everything. I'll admit I wasn't crazy about it, so I needed to add a little bit more. I used 2 bunches of those roses, and now I'm going to take this white flower that I can't remember the name of that I got from Dollar Tree as well, and I'm just going to kind of sporadically put it in some places. I do add some hot glue just to, you know, make sure that it doesn't, you know, fall out, because that would be my luck. I'd have it sitting somewhere and it would just start to fall out with my luck and end up all over the floor. The kids would steal it and I'd never see it again. So it's just kind of, this part is really just having fun, placing things where you think it needs to go. I am by no means a very skilled wreath maker, so you're probably better at it than I am, and maybe you can leave me some tips in the description box of doing better placement for flowers. I would welcome them because, like I said, I'm not that great at it. I've got this metal word from Dollar Tree that just says family. That's what all of this is about family today. And I'll kind of explain in a minute why we're doing nautical for family. And I did the sheepskin, coated that probably twice, and then I did the antique wax on top of that. So just to give you an idea, I was told all of my friends that are doing the hop with me today, that it's all about family because of Fisher House. And obviously Fisher House is really meant to take care of the families of our service members and veterans that have to get specialized care. So the whole idea was to make all of these about family. Now you're probably looking at nautical and you're like, how in the world did she get family out of that? But I live in Florida. I've lived in Florida all of my life, and I grew up going to the beach. I mean, my mom at least doesn't really care for the beach too much, but I blame that on her being brought up in upstate New York. I'm going to go ahead and place my family word. I did do a coat of Mod Podge on it just to seal it all in, since it is painting on top of metal. I was figuring it would maybe like chip and stuff, so I didn't want to worry about that. And I'll take some twine and I'm just going to knot it a total of 3 times to keep just to give you something to look at instead of a hole, because I couldn't fill it. I tried. I could not figure out a good way to fill those holes. Back to story time. My aunts actually loved taking us to the beach. There was this one particular area of the beach that we'd go to that had like a rocky, almost like a pier, but it was made out of rocks and it was naturally forming, I think. And we would go off on there and have adventures. Like we'd go check out the tide pools and see what kind of little creatures we could find. And it was just always a fond memory for me going to the beach. And now I have kids of my own and they love the beach. We're going to be doing a nice little beach vacation with my husband's side of the family. So just it's always been to me like the beach is always been about family, family trips. So that is kind of where I went and got this nautical themed DIYs for family. Long story. Hopefully that's what you wanted to hear. Hopefully you wanted to hear my story while you watch my DIYs. So I just secured that with the twine, but I am going to go in with some hot glue as well. I'm going to hot glue the M down as well as part of the little parts that actually kind of hit the spokes. And hot glue my twine down just so it looks like it's constantly pulling at that knot, you know what I mean? So the knot doesn't look all flimsy floating around. And I added a lot of hot glue actually in the little opening part on the back as well because I kind of felt like it was going to move around a lot. And I do, of course, secure it some more with one of my more permanent hold glues since it was like metal on metal. It wasn't doing me any favors. Here it is all finished though. I hope you guys like it. So I have this chair that I found in the garbage by a neighbor. There's a crack in like one of the side seat. You see it there. And I saw it on the side of the road and I was like, no. There's so much I can do with this. You're going to find out here in just a minute. I'm starting off with 3 of these little paddle things. They're actually like a dry erase board. And I'm just going to like take off the bottom part of it that gives you the handle. And I'm going to sand it. Once I've gotten that part down, I'm going to sand it down to where it's even. Now I do this with an orbital sander. That way I'm not there all day. Now these are 2 of the legs from that chair. Now I cut it off, to make sure it would fit. Actually, I did not. I lie. I didn't cut this one at all. I just took it all the way apart. And then this little part here, I did cut down to the size I wanted. It's part of the seating area of the chair. And I sanded it down just to give it a little bit different of a look. If you had something like this, you definitely don't have to do that. It's just kind of wanted that more distressed look. Now I am just going to put down some hot glue to hold it in place, and I'm going to go back later. I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to go back later and actually screw it all in too. Once I've gotten both of those legs in there, I'm going to start adding in my little dry erase boards. This is going to be like a little to-do board for me. And this is probably not the best way to do this, but this is how I did it. I went ahead and put down the, dry erase board part, and then I'm going to put in the legs. Again, I am quite sure this is probably not the best way to do it, but I legitimately put it together and took it apart twice before this. So I was like, this is how it's going to work because this is the way it's working for me right now. I'll put down a little bit more glue, and now I'll put where they meet is kind of like where that stick is, and if that makes sense, you know what I mean. And I go ahead and do all 3 of those pieces of dry erase board, and now I'm going to take some wooden dowels. I'm going to cut it down with my miter shears to fit, and I'll put it across, right there where the boards, the dry erase board part meet to give it a little bit more stability. Make sure it's not going to come apart. Make sure it's not going to go anywhere because, it's hot glue. It's not that's not the greatest hold on some things, some materials it doesn't work great on, but that's okay. We're just going to make it work. And I'm going to also put it, because that bottom board doesn't have one of the little cross beams, so I'm just going to glue it directly to the wooden dowel. And I don't know, do I not show it? Maybe I don't. I thought I did. There we go. I was like, I know I showed it somewhere. And again, that's just going to give it a little bit more stability. And I wanted it, kind of where I could make it the same all the way up. I added some rope at the top. I just tied it. This is much thicker twine that I got from Walmart. And now I'm just going to take some Waverly chalk paint in plaster, and I'm just going to start painting on it just a little bit, just to give it a little bit extra detail. I still need to go in and actually add some like little of those little label holders to the front. I'm going to do today, tomorrow, next week. And it's every procrastinator's dream. I can keep moving things down. Here it is, though, all finished. I think it turned out amazing. So now I've got the top part of that chair, and this is the part I fell in love with as soon as I saw it. I was like, that is a gorgeous piece of wall decor. I've seen something similar at, not IKEA, I lie, at Kirkland's. And I did pretty much the same thing. I cut off the areas that I didn't want on there, top and bottom. And then I just sanded it down with my electric sander. It's really soft, so you could probably do it by hand too. And now I am taking the same, chalk paint in plaster and going, I'm gonna do a little bit heavier on this piece as opposed to the last piece. I just kind of wanted it to be, a little more distressed. And what's really nice is if you put too much on, you can just wipe it down, with a little bit of like a paper towel, some water, which I believe I do show you in just a minute. But I will link for you the sanders that I have. I have two different ones. I have an orbital one and then one that's more like a fine tip detailed one. And see here, I've gotten just a damp paper towel, and I'm just going to wipe away any areas that I thought were too much of that white paint. So I just figured, some areas where it's a little too thick, and then I was like, well, now it just looks like I wiped away a spot. So I'll go back with some, of that same paint. I didn't add any more to the brush, just to kind of blend it in a little bit, You're just really doing this to your taste, what you like. Maybe you want more distressed, maybe you want less distressed. It's really entirely up to you. I almost thought about actually painting this completely white and then distressing just like the edges, but I love the way it turned out. I mean, I can't wait to put this up in my house.